Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to a very special training tonight, a live training with Dr. Patrick Gentempo and Dr. Chris Zano. I guarantee you will find amazing gems tonight that will help you to grow your practice. I just want to introduce a couple of things, make you aware of a few things on the page that you're watching from right now. The live video. Right below that, you'll see a link that says the Dynamic Dinner Program. If you click that link, it'll take you to the page where you can actually get started tonight, and this will be explained more, but this program will end tonight at midnight. But you actually get started in the Dynamic Dinner Program, a program that has helped hundreds, if not thousands, of chiropractors take their practice to the next level, reach people in their community that they had never been able to reach before, and it's a powerful program. If you've been following us the last few weeks, we've been training hard on this, how to set up more workshops, how to get in front of more people, and really how to touch more lives, because that's what it's all about. So guys, without further ado, I want to introduce our speakers for the night. In fact, I'll turn it over to you, Chris. How are you tonight?
What's going on, Dr. Tabor? Hey, Dr. Gentempo.
How's it going, man?
Good.
So, awesome. Very excited to have this conversation. So, in essence, first of all, thank you for showing up, everybody. I know your time is valuable, so it's my intention to make sure that we deliver a lot of value to you today during the course of this conversation. For the people who follow me when I send out these notices or posts, the thing that I think you probably have seen a couple of times where I have interviewed Dr. Chris Zano before, and I always love doing it because there's this flow between understanding philosophy, values, and process and procedure in the office that leads to outcome. His restroom interview is one of the most watched and popular restroom interviews I've ever done. Last time we did a hangout like this, it was hugely attended. And for good reason. Chris has got one of the largest and most successful chiropractic practices really in the world, not just in the U.S., but anywhere. And it's not an accident and it's not good luck. It's because of who he is, how he shows up, and how he lines up his thoughts congruently, and then the action that he takes along with that. So when you put all this together, you're due to have some pretty big and successful outcomes. So we're going to talk about a few different things tonight, and I also want to get into talking about the concept of the dinner talk, or the dynamic dinner. Chiropractors are always crying about, and I don't mean to sound demeaning when I say that, but they seem to be in some sort of desperation for new patients and starved for them. And I keep trying to advocate, change your headspace. You don't need new patients. New patients need you, and if you can get into the abundant mentality, you'll attract people as compared to trying to go and sell them and push them off. So I look at the dynamic dinner process as something that really lines up a few variables in just the right way so that you can bring in high-quality new patients that are pre-qualified really to be in your office because they heard the message, met you, and then decided that they wanted to sign up. So it's a very, very effective way for you to first give because you're offering dinner and you're offering information, and then receive because you are going to be bringing new patients into the office. So Dr. Zano is a master at this. I mean, he's really refined the process over years, and based on that particular marketing methodology alone, again, he has built one of the biggest practices in the world. And I might add, because I'm such a strong advocate for this, it's also a cash practice, or what I'd like to refer to as a non-insurance dependent practice, meaning he's not figuring out how to get people in because they have certain insurance coverage. People come in, they pay out of pocket for the service he provides. So with that, I want to maybe for people who maybe haven't heard our prior conversations, Chris, you can do a quick overview as to what led you to the varying aspects of marketing in your practice and why you decided to focus on doing these dynamic dinners.
Well, it really come down to, like you said, it was just one day you were sitting there going, what would be the ideal patient coming in? Someone, as a chiropractor, because we'll get in a room, we'll teach chiropractic philosophy to each other, and we all rah-rah, and we get excited with each other, but we're the only ones in the room that know what the hell we're talking about, So, and all we want is for the people to know what we're talking in the room. We want people to think like us in the room. So wouldn't it be great if patients came in and their chief complaint was, want to get my spinal nervous system checked? It's like, that would be the ultimate, because that's what we really want long term. And so what is the best way to do that? And, because if I put an ad in the yellow pages, it says chiropractor, we don't know what the hell that means anymore, right? I mean, it's actually it could look like a physical therapist. No one knows. There's no differences. There's no there's the big idea is not being told. If I went and did a nutrition talk, everybody wants to hear a nutrition talk in an office, but it's not my big idea. Everybody wants to hear a stress management talk, but it's not my big idea. So wouldn't it be great if they could just get the principle, understand it, because it's done in such a great way, simple way, where everybody understands it, gets it, and they want it. So I'm actually like, if we could just teach the principle and then let them really tie that up to like, this is what chiropractic is. And then people say, yeah, this is what we want. So they come in, they bring their family, they prepay to come in for their appointment, and it really took off. And we started doing those and perfecting them and learning the art of not presentation, but persuading, and the fact of we're leading people. It really was huge. And they always say, the 80-20 rule, Pareto's rule. Really, my office, it's the 10-90 rule. I would definitely say that the 10% of what I do is speaking, and that literally gives me 90% of the results in my office. It's not, because I thought about it, is it really 80-20? I'm like, no. I go, it's literally, I focus everything on that 10%, and that gives me, I would say 90% of the results are from those dinners. For whether it be my lifetime patients, we probably, I don't know if anybody could read their stats, but we have over 1,500 lifetime patients, meaning that people gave us their credit card, and say, we're done talking finances, auto-draw me for the rest of my life. So that we have a lifetime program in the office with the dinners, so it cultivates lifetime patients, and those people could bring their friends in, so they don't have to talk chiropractic to them. They could just bring them the dinner. So really, that dinner, really that we focused area right there, really is the fuel for my entire practice.
And it's something that you can throttle up or back, right? I mean, it's something that you can just decide how frequent you want to do it, which I think is very important. So you get to have control of your destiny. It might be, hey, I'm feeling a little bit more ambitious right now. I think I'll go out and I'll do more and bring more patients in. And maybe sometimes you're saying, I think I'm going to chill a little bit more right now. We've got good volume, and I don't need to go out and do it, as often. And I know it's not necessarily something that, if somebody ran out now and said, I'm going to try to figure this out and do it on my own, you're probably, you're going to go through some pain before you finally get to the finish line and say, oh, now I know what I'm doing. And I think it's, so what I'm hoping is that we're going to, number one, try to save you some of that pain tonight, and number two, if this is resonating with you, obviously we highly recommend that you just get the program. It's way underpriced as far as I'm concerned. Right. But let me ask you this, because you said something in there, and when we talked earlier today or communicated earlier today, you said that these are some points that you really wanted to make tonight, which are good points. You talked about the difference between presentation and persuasion. So can you maybe dig into that a little bit more?
And great, and I thought of these topics because of you. What I find is one of the reasons why doctors wouldn't get the program is because I think in the back of their head they say, well, I'm a good speaker. And they go out, and this is what they get. They'll talk, and everybody claps for them. They tell them, hey, you were the best speaker of the night. That was a great presentation. Thank you for the information. Man, you're the best. Your passion was great. And they get kind of fluffed up, but they believe the lie in the sense that when you really take a step back and be like, if I'm such a great presenter, if I was the best speaker of the night, how come no one came in? How come people just asked for my card? How come people said that was a great presentation, but no one acted? And I realized that day, I'm like, people like me and what I'm saying, but I'm not moving anybody. I'm not leading everybody. I was a presenter, a performer, but I was not able to persuade people and lead them. And that was the difference. I had to become a leader in my community, not a performer. Where people clapped like I was someone's lunch entertainment with good information. And I realized that is the difference, because a lot of us think that we pat ourselves on the back. I ripped it. I said the right words. I don't know what wrong. And then when no one signs up, they're like, well, it must be them. It must be the group. So we blame all the other factors. But when you really myopically look inside and say, you know what, maybe there are skills that I need to develop to truly be a better leader and persuader. And knowing that if I develop these skills, I could bridge that gap, and that one extra skill could change my entire practice future and really the way I communicate with people. And that's what BJ did. He said, he was a persuader, and not in a bad way. I'm not saying manipulator, I'm saying, like, we're persuading people by showing them this big idea, seeing life as it could be, taking them where they are, seeing where they could be, and joining that in a reality now so they can future pace present, future, and past, and they can really be able to make a decision now to save their life in the future. So, I mean, I'm sure you went through that, you see, like, people call you, like, Billy DeMoss calls you glass, right? Because you're smooth, right? But you're a great not just a presenter, but a great influencer as well. And there is a difference between those. Don't you agree?
I agree a lot, and there's also a flip side of this that, as you're describing it, in that because you say there are a lot of people that could be good presenters, but they're not very persuasive. At the same time, I think tell me if I'm wrong, but your kind of wired bias is more towards an introvert than an extrovert, I would say, correct?
Yes.
And I'm definitely biased towards introversion also. Like people say, well, how can that be? You'll get up and speak in front of thousands of people. Yeah, but I'm the guy that if after I get off the platform, if you walk in the elevator while I'm on the elevator, I'm like staring at the corner. It's really uncomfortable. I'm not the guy that says, hey, what's your name? What are you doing? Where are you from? I mean, I'm not the extrovert expressive like that. So why would somebody who's biased introvert, obviously when I need to be an extrovert, I can be. So I'm what they call an omnivert, but it's more by discipline. So if I need to be an extrovert, if I'm going to get up and, like I wouldn't sit around and say, I'd like to get up in front of a bunch of people having dinner and entertain them. That would not be for me. But if somebody said, get up in front of a group of people who are having dinner and persuade them, lead them, inspire them toward your values and the things that I know as truth, then I've got an enormous appetite to go do that. I could be dead tired, and then all of a sudden, with that opportunity, I turn into 100% energy and I'm ready to go. So that's called being on purpose. So this is the point I'm trying to make. Do not shy away from dinner talks or other such opportunities because you have this opinion of yourself that you're an introvert, and you say that, well, introvert, that won't work for an introvert. You have to be a certain type of person to do that. I find that to be completely incorrect. Mm-hmm. I think that, as a matter of fact, I find introverts with passion and purpose become very persuasive. Because you can tell that it's real. It's not something that they're just like, they're like this all the time. So I think that's an important distinction. Chris, you used the exact right words. You don't want to be in the entertainment business, right? You go entertain people, then you leave. Entertainers are paid by the ticket that people buy to come watch them, right? They're not paid by people now doing something else. If you're a persuader leader, you bought them the ticket in. Now you want to move them to the mountaintop where you live, as far as with your practice and your principles. So I think that that's a phenomenal distinction, persuasion versus presentation, and that you should think in terms of being a congruent persuader. So with that, on the heels of it, I'm reading the other thing that you sent me. You said, top 6 reasons why people don't seize an opportunity. So now you're saying, okay, you can be a persuader, you can build your practice, but they don't act on it. They don't seize an opportunity. So what have you identified there?
And when we discuss this now, we're going to do it in the context of not only a doctor not getting a program or something like that, or a doctor not making the opportunity to better their life and career, but I want to also switch it around to why the patient sits in front of you and says, listen, I'm not going to get care, even though I know I have a problem, I'm on drugs, I'm on medication, but I'm not going to seize this opportunity. And the reason why I wrote with you, because I love the story. And I want you to tell it. You tell it, and you could sense it. You could do whatever you want. We don't have. This is rated for everybody, whoever. But tell the story, because I noticed that when someone's not making the decision, or they don't make a decision, sees the opportunity, you don't realize that is probably the most stressful situation to be in, because what they're doing is, oh, I want to do it, and then they're talking to themselves that these are the reasons why I should, or maybe these are the reasons why I shouldn't. Well, I don't know. Let me go online. And they're just going back and forth and spending so much energy and stress and effort, and it's exhaustion. And they say, listen, well, maybe I'll sleep on it. And they waste all this time and energy. But what would free them up if they just made a decision? And it reminds me of the story and you, of course, you lived it. Tell the story of the guy, and it was with CLA, and just how it was just finally you were like, dude, so tell that, and then we'll go over that.
I'll tell the story, and I'll use the exact language I used, so everybody just understand that I'm going to be using some profanity, so if there are kids around, you might want to mute. Yeah. But and also let me say this: we are happy to receive questions and interact with you. So there's a Facebook thread underneath the video that you're watching. You can just, first of all, I'd love for you to announce yourself, your name, where you're hanging out from. You're just kind of be in the game here with us. And then secondly, any questions or comments, throw them down there, and Tabor will collect them and give them to us. We'll be happy to answer this. And I'm really glad you're bringing this up because indecision is cancer. It is to me, it is very similar to procrastination. Procrastination is the killer of dreams. I think indecision also just kills the spirit because basically you're saying, I don't trust myself, I don't trust my own mind, and you can't be a leader. Somebody who's indecisive can't lead people. Nobody would follow them. So sometimes I'm willing to make bad decisions. I do it all the time. But a bad decision is better than indecision as far as I'm concerned. Because you're going to also make good decisions and you're going to be decisive and take action. So the story that Chris is talking about, as far as he remembers this, but I was at a seminar. It was a fairly large program, and I'm in the back of the room because sometimes I like to just get the vibe of the room before I go up on the stage. And I knew they were getting ready to introduce me, so I started taking the walk, and it was a fairly long walk in this auditorium, down the side aisle where they had some vendors to head up toward the stage so when they introduce me I can go on the stage. So I come walking by and one of my sales reps, who was Brock Brasho at CLA, this is going back some years ago when I still owned CLA, as I'm walking by, he says, hey, you got a quick second, this is Dr. So-and-so, and he's thinking about buying an Insight, and he's got all, so he started explaining to me all the right reasons why this guy should buy it. And so the guy starts saying, well, I'm really not sure about this, and I was wondering about the, he's mealy-mouthy, wishy-washy, and he was a tall guy. I remember he was like 6'4" or something. I'm looking up at him like this, and literally I'm looking up at the stage, and I know I've got to go, and sometimes I get into my Type A driver personality, and I just looked at the guy and I said, let me ask you a question. Does profanity offend you? He said no, and I said, well then just buy the fucking thing. And I literally walked up, and he couldn't make a decision, so I said, I'll make the decision for you, okay? Buy the effing thing. And I walk up on the stage, and incidentally, I remember I turned and I looked at my sales rep as I was walking by, and his jaw was open like this, So I gave, I think, a 90-minute presentation. I came off the stage, I started walking back up, and my sales rep's looking at me, shaking his head, laughing, because he bought it. The guy just literally shocked for a moment, took the form, filled it out, and bought the thing, and he transformed his practice. So the point is being decisive. And I look at it this way. When you see an opportunity, and listen, I'm very transparent, about, you think, oh, we're just trying to find ways to get you to buy this or buy something. Let me have you understand something. I would never put anything in front of you that I didn't believe was right. I would never put anything in front of a patient in a way of a care plan or services that I didn't think were going to help them in some way, shape, or form. So that's what I do. That's how I get my values and my message to the marketplace, and I hopefully get people lifted that way. That's what it's all about. But when somebody can look at something and say, I pretty much believe, and I'm pretty confident, that would be good for me. That thing would be good for me. And then they still can't decide, or they don't do it, or they pass on it. What are you telling yourself? I mean, think about the subconscious conversation. What must you be telling yourself when you don't take action on something that you think will help you? Are you saying, I'm not worth it, I'm no good, I can't succeed? I mean, you might as well just fold up your tents and go home at that point. So the whole thing is, listen, I've done really well in my life, and we've had transactions in the hundreds of millions of dollars. But at the same time, I've made mistakes. I've spent money on things that didn't work out. It happens, but that's just a part of the batting average going out there. But it doesn't create fear, and I don't sit there and say to myself, well, I must not be good at making decisions, and I'm always investing in things that I never follow up on. I mean, you think about that mentality and try to equate that with somebody who's successful. Those two things don't go together. So what I'm saying is the psychological battle of inaction on your part, on the patient's. When the patient's sitting in front of you and you lay it all out and they sit there and say, I don't know, I think I got to think about it. What are they? They're saying I'm not worth investing in myself. So anyway, you can tell I'm not angry. I just have a lot of passion around this, and because I'm somebody who cringes at the thought of people who can fulfill a potential, whether it be in their health, whether it be a chiropractor in their practice, whatever it is, and they sit there and dwell on it and don't take action. It's a very sad thing.
No, absolutely. So I was just in my readings, I found these 6 reasons why people don't seize opportunities, and you hit most of them. The first one, and they're kind of in order, so there's actually like a sequence. The first one was inadequate vision, meaning that, so this person sitting there, they don't have a clear vision of where they want to go, so they're basing their circumstances in that second, the time and the money. So if you don't have an adequate vision, you could have the opportunity of a lifetime right in front of you, but you don't have a vision to see the short and long-term ramifications of if you did it and succeeded or not. So you have no litmus, but there's no north, there's no compass. So it's this lack of vision. So for a chiropractor or a patient, they may not have a vision of health. Their vision is, well, I want to be healthy, or I don't want to be sick when I'm older, but that's not a vision, that's a dream. That's a delusion. It's like, what's your specific vision? So as a chiropractor, what is your vision? So if your vision is, you see a practice that's cash, that's not insurance dependent, that people are coming in, they're lifetimers, they're doing well, they speak your language, they understand your philosophy. It's like, so how do you get your philosophy and your vision of health into their minds so you could see families grow? So you see the mom and her 3 kids, and you knew the 3 kids when they were in the womb, and they grow, and you get to see them graduate high school. So if that's your vision, it just doesn't happen. So if I'm like, well, what could get me to that vision? What are the obstacles? Why am I not there right now? So I understand the short and long-term ramifications of what I need in my life and what I need to get out of my life. So I'm like, well, I need to educate and build this practice and educate people in the right way, have requirements in my office to build this in 10 years. So the only reason why I don't have that now is because of these obstacles, and you know what you need to do, whether it be hire a mentor, whether it be get a thought leader in your life, whether get a program, and then you put those into play, and they're going to help get you to that point. So having that vision, I would say, is huge, because then you understand more clearly, well, if I don't do this, then I'm shooting myself in the foot, What do you think?
I think that's a really astute observation. It's like, how do you know what to do if you don't know where you're going? And it's, so you end up, sometimes you just end up chasing blinky shiny things, and it never works out because you don't have a vision for what to do with it or where you want to go with it, and you can't make good decisions without values, without purpose, without vision. So I think that's a very astute one. What's the next one?
Disbelief. You put that in there. We were talking about belief. So either it means that you simply don't believe that the opportunity is real. Some people, it's too good to be true. But then when you start to see the testimonials, like we have over hundreds of docs saying, yeah, we got 30 people to come to the office, or, my practice doubled. And you see all these positive comments, so you know it's real, and every doctor wants that. But then the disbelief is, like you said, they don't believe that they have the talent or the skill or the knowledge or the personality. They start to, they don't believe in themselves, or their self-esteem is low. And so because that self-esteem is in there, and that automatically they start to make the excuse like, it just doesn't work for me. And so you already touched on that. But the one that I want to talk at number 3 is kind of what you and Rick Sapio used to talk about, was the Superman syndrome. And they call it here the Lone Ranger mentality, like the Lone Ranger, where you're the doc that says, listen, that's a great program, but I mean, who's going to make the calls, and then I got to do the dinner on myself, and then I got to do. So if I got 30 people in 1 week, I'd have to do all the day ones, and I have to do all their X-rays. I have to scan them all, and I got to do the report of findings for them. And they start to do the long run. Like, I just don't have the time and the resources. I'm a one-man show. I just can't do it all by myself. So it's this Lone Ranger Superman syndrome mentality. Number 4 is fear. I think that's the fear of not, and that paralyzes you. Number 5, and these last 2 I want Dr. Gentempo to really go on, because we don't. It's when I looked at it, it was very interesting. lack of motivation. You know, a patient just, they're not motivated, you know, and I think where the persuasion comes in here, they're just, well, you know, I want to be healthy, but just not now. You know, I'm okay. They're just not motivated. Or, well, you know, I do believe that, but see, all these people, the Lone Ranger, the person with fear, the person who doesn't have motivation, they do believe that's a good opportunity. They do believe it'll change their practice in their life or their health, but they're just not motivated. They're just kind of like, explain the fat cat syndrome. It's just kind of like you're complacent and things are good. They could be great, but you know, not now, you know.
Yeah, you know, I think that is a big one, and I think there's a couple of causes of lack of motivation. But what I can tell you, and it circles back to persuasion, I have been many times in circumstances where I had people who completely lacked motivation, or maybe even say lacked interest. When I used to do programs and presentations that were like at the state level, the state association level, that were for license renewal, you know, sometimes I'd get backhanded compliments like, you know, I brought my paper, but you know, what you're talking about was so interesting, I never got to read it. Almost like a complaint. But sometimes also I had people who would come in who had given up on themselves and given up on chiropractic and given up on their, you know, their thought of being successful. They just wanted to get their license renewed, but then they heard something that shifted their consciousness toward new possibilities. See, they were stuck thinking that here's the limit of what's possible for me, but they didn't know there's all these other possibilities out here that nobody ever pointed out to them or never brought their attention to. And then those are the people that basically go from zero of disinterest to your raving fans, you know, your apostles, the people who are going to go out there and say, my God, I've been reborn, in a sense, into, you know, chiropractic or a belief in my health and future, whatever it might be. So my admonition to chiropractors, number one, is if you're in that situation where you're burned out, you're tired, you're stressed, you got debt, you got all these things weighing on you, I will tell you that there is breakthrough possibility for you, and you just have to wake yourself up to that. You have to make yourself available to that. If you don't have the premise, you'll never make it possible. You have to start with the premise. I talk about the power of premise. So if the premise is this is the limitations to what I can try to even expect, then that's what you're going to be limited to. I'll give you one quick example that maybe will hit home with a lot of you. I was told in my young entrepreneurial life that you know, succeeding in business is about sacrifice. You have to make sacrifices, and the sacrifices, you know, might be, well, you're not going to be able to see your family, you're not going to be able to maybe exercise as much as you want, you're not going to be able to. So when you have the premise that success requires sacrifice, what do you think you're doing as you're working every day? Is you're looking for what you're going to sacrifice, because that's the premise you start with. Until I started literally having the pain of those sacrifices in my life, and I shifted the premise to I can have it all. I can have an amazing marriage. I can be a world-class dad. I can have a very successful business. I can keep myself fit and healthy. I can have it all. I don't have to sacrifice these things. It's not easy, but as soon as I shifted, you know, to the new premise, I had a new world of possibilities in front of me, and my whole life changed. This is true also of your patients. Your patients will think that I got to live on these. What do they think? Where are they told? I got to live on these drugs the rest of my life. I've got to, I have bad luck in my genes where I have this particular problem, and that's what they're committed to. So the idea here is saying, you know, if people are disinterested or they lack passion or they're just, you know, not engaged, I'll tell you that you might be able to say something that will change their lives. And I'm hoping by what we're saying here, if you're that person, that we're saying something that might change your life. And that by taking an action, like you might say, oh, there's no way I could ever go to, you know, have 20 or 30 new patients in a week, you know, after doing an event. I'm going to tell you, yes, you can. I'm going to tell you it's being done over and over and over again. I'm going to tell you that you know, people who are doing the dynamic dinner program are making that happen. So you have to now check your premise and say, okay, is it possible that I can maybe say that there's a new possibility available here for me? And when you become that person, you start to expect your patients to react to you in the exact same way. When you become the person that says, I can, and I will, and I must because of my purpose, when there's people sitting in front of you, your patients respond to who you are. If you're the person that gives up on yourself, then they're the person that gives up on themselves. So that's leadership, and that's where you step up and you do things. So I think that that's a really deep topic right there.
I mean, that was beautiful. That was awesome. And, you know, and what you guys are listening to, this is not like Dr. Gentempo doesn't sit and meditate in these things. Like, this is years and years of skill training. What many of you don't know, and you probably don't even know his name, but Dr. Gentempo was friends with Nathaniel Brandon. And if you guys ever took the time to actually study and allow him, even though he's gone, to mentor you and just, I listen to his audios in my car, they're mind-blowing. And this is like, just like, but that's just one person of many, many times of discipline. So what I'm getting around to this is that, you know, just a little bit of discipline throughout the day, you're able to get these insights that otherwise you wouldn't. And that last one, let's go over, well, Tabor, do we have any questions? Maybe we could do some questions.
Well, we do have one question. It was specifically on opening a new practice. How do we gather leads for the dinner? He says he knows he needs to get out into the public and meet more people, but if he's opening a new practice and he has no patients to market to, what would you suggest?
Tabor, you just opened up a new practice. Do it. That's you. That's real time.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm a good testimonial for this product. I now do 2 dinners a month because we started doing dinners for my second practice. And in fact, just a little bit about what Dr. Gentempo mentioned earlier, how these are pre-qualified new patients coming into your office. Your conversions will never be higher than the people coming from your dinner. I mean, it's like it's hotter than a referral from like a patient that had already been in your office for a long period of time, a lifetime patient, because they are the referrals, but then they're heated up at the dinner and they're more likely to sign up. I did actually 2 doctor's reports today, one at noon and one at 6:30 before this webinar, and we had a husband and wife, 2 husband and wives who came in from a dinner, both prepaid. And my care plans aren't crazy expensive. They're about $2,000 a piece, but they prepaid for those care plans. And they're coming in at my new practice from the first dinner that we did in our office, which we had 32 RSVPs to the dinner, and we had about 20 show up, and then a little over 10 new patients came in from that dinner. And I don't know anybody in that town. It's a suburb of Houston. I don't live there, but we marketed from Facebook ads to reactivations from patients in those areas, all those types of things, and brought in all of those people to the dinner. And so we get a lot of questions during the Ask Dr. Zano show. How do I get more people to the dinner? This program shows you exactly how to do that. And the great thing is, I give half of it, in fact, more than half of the responsibility goes to my staff. And so I'm able to continue to do what I love to do, which is adjust and share the message and speak. And my staff gets to train from this program, actually straight from Dr. Zano's staff, on how to get seats filled at the dinner. It's beautiful.
Right on. Awesome. Dr. Patrick, anything on that? If you were, how about this, Dr. Patrick? You were just start a new practice today from scratch. What would be, just looking back, what would be just a couple quick nuggets of, hey, I would if I did it again, this is how I would approach it.
So the way I would do this, if I were starting a new practice, number one, I abide by the premise that, and it's a business premise that is it's not my original one, it's just one I subscribe to, which is momentum cures everything. I would not want to open my doors and then go out and market. I would be marketing in advance of the practice. And I want to open my doors and be busy from the very beginning of the practice, and that gets the headspace right. It gets everything kind of geared up properly. So number one, I would be doing my marketing ahead of time. Number two, I would, and it's not just because I'm here with Chris and Tabor right now, I would be definitely out there doing the dinner talks. Why? Because the program is wired, the procedures are in place. I don't have to try to make it up. I already have the best practices in there. And what Tabor said, and I kind of said it earlier, I'm going to say it again, and Tabor said something that was very, very astute. Most people, you say, what's the best kind of new patient? And the response typically is, oh, referrals. I disagree. The best type of new patient, so referrals are great, don't get me wrong, but the best type of new patient is the one that has met you, has heard your message, and then says, I want to now sign up. That means they are really, really qualified. So, you know, who knows what somebody else told the referral, and it might not be that accurate. Could be, I don't know. But I think that when you get in front of people that, and you're giving your message, and they're saying, I want it, and then you can have appointments booked, I would like to start, you know, a new practice with at least 50 new patients that first week. That would be a minimum goal for me. And one other thing I would say that leads up to that is clearly defining the purpose of the practice. So if I'm moving into a new practice, I'm going to say, okay, I want to make sure that I have runway of marketing to do ahead of time. Number two, I really want to make sure that I have my purpose clear. Here's one that everybody can write down right now. Confused minds do not buy. Let me repeat it. Confused minds do not buy. And I'll tell you that many, when you're trying to promote just from small ads and other things that you do, it's confusing the message very often. That's why when you have the time to get in front of people, bond with them, break bread with them, and present your purpose and your mission to them, that's where you have an enormous opportunity to attract people who sign up for all the right reasons. And Tabor said also that they convert a lot better. So the idea here, you know, just to kind of wrap this up, you know, I mean, I could get into a lot of things, but the things I would like to say is that number one, have runway and put a marketing plan together and pre-market before the doors open. Create what's referred to in business as pent-up demand. You want that pent-up demand. Number two, I would be doing dinner talks because I have to say, to get out in front of groups, it's a demonstrated effective way to do it. I've done corporate talks, I do all those things, and I think they all have great validity. You want to get in front of people as often as possible. The dinner talk is well wired, it's well demonstrated and proven, so at that point, you got a best practice to plug in. You know, people, this is the funny thing, people will spend, you know, tens, if not commit to hundreds of thousands of dollars, you know, to open a practice. But you know, the small amount of money to spend on getting trained on the thing that's going to make it all work, you know, they get hung up on, which I think is really, you know, irrational. So then the third thing is I would want to make sure that I have a clear purpose. So I'm going in there and I know exactly why that practice exists. One last little hint I'll give you on this is that you never, you don't want your purpose to be the purpose of the practice. Your purpose needs to align with the purpose of practice. But you know, I sold my practice. You know, my last practice. I've had a few of them, but my last practice I sold in 1991. The practice is still there. The practice had a purpose independent of me, which is why I was able to sell it and sell it at a decent price, and why it still exists today because it has a reason to be in the community. And I think the same thing would be true when you think about it. To me, if you wrap yourself up in the practice as you and your purpose, then when it comes time to exit, bring other people on, expand staff, none of that stuff works well. So get the purpose defined and give the practice. It's like birthing a baby. Yes, you're going to have to bring it up, you're going to have to nurture it, you're going to have to do all those things, but that human being is its own independent thing, and it's going to have its own purpose, even though your purpose is related to it. So hopefully that's making sense. So that's, you know, that's in short kind of the things I would consider if I were going to start a new practice, a new business.
That's awesome. And that leads, like, what I like, and this leads to the last one right here, because you said momentum cures all. Well, what starts momentum? Action. And the sixth one here, a reason why people do not seize opportunity is probably the biggest problem is procrastination. And the reason why procrastination is so dangerous is because when we're procrastinating, we're really not taking it seriously. And the most dangerous enemy in any battle is the element of the battle that you don't take seriously, because that's going to get you. And procrastination also alludes that you're having an illusion that time is your least important commodity, when it's actually your most important commodity. And we think that we have this unlimited bank of time, but the reality is we don't, like as human beings, we do not have as much time as we think. And if we live thinking that we have this bank of time and we could do it later and we're on someday island, that opportunity never arises. And Jim Rome said it best. He goes, discipline weighs ounces, regret weighs tons. And I was like, wow,
I love
is
that.
that right? And I love that. If I tattooed myself, I would put that on there to remind me that a little bit of discipline weighs in ounces, but regret weighs tons. And he goes to one way to get over the procrastination. If you feel you're going to procrastinate or to make a decision, you ask these questions of yourself. First, you say, well, why? Why should I get this program, or why should I do this opportunity? And then just follow it up with, well, why not? Well, why not do it? I could do this, I could do that, does align with my vision. And then, why not you? I mean, everybody else is doing it. They're doing great. They're making great results. How come, I can't be one of the people doing it? And then, why not you now? So why should I wait later when I could do it now, and I could get to the meat and potatoes at the front of the buffet line where all the good stuff is at, versus just hanging out here in the salad bar and not really accomplishing and doing the things I want to do. And you don't realize the freedom and all the things that go about that. Like, there's freedom, there's and freedom not just financially, but freedom. When you have a good, secure, busy to would you ever think busy is practice, you're not needy. You're on purpose. And when you're not needy on purpose, you're extremely dangerous, because you're almost at you're at such a high level of love, persuasion, compassion, like nothing. That's when you're really in that zone. And you can't, and it's tough to do it when you're in scarcity and you can't make a decision. All these they're low level vibrating areas where you're really holding yourself back by becoming that person. And that, like I said, it's going to weigh tons on your life later on, looking back. So that's my 6 reasons. I love that from of why people do not seize the opportunity. And I quoted Jim Rome and stuff like that because we have all these wonderful people that left legacies on this planet that are no longer with us, and they speak in truths. And the thing is, a truth today was a truth yesterday, and it's going to be a truth 1,000 years from now. So because it's old or it's in the 80s, it still is relevant today. And just the principle of chiropractic was the same in the 1800s or 1895. It's the same today. And 1,000, 2,000 years from now, it's going to be the same thing. So this dinner, this talk, and we say it's a dinner, but it could be, it's a persuasive leadership talk that you could use in someone's home, someone's church, someone's work, someone's hallway. It's a reference, a flow on how to educate and present the principle in such a way where it could be used in a conversation, because you just know you have a pattern of thinking to share the philosophy, and it really heightens your skill. And the person who has the most skills, you radically and exponentially increase your success in life the more skills you have.
And there's so much that you said there that I like. First of all, I love that Jim Rohn quote. It's just so right. It's like, yep, it's just so on the money. It really is. The pain of regret it does weigh very, very heavy. So I think that's nothing is truer. I think it was somebody like Woody Allen that said there's nothing sadder in life than a missed opportunity. And I think that's also kind of akin to that particular statement. And it's sad, it missed opportunity if it's an aligned opportunity, meaning if it's something that's aligned with your values, not just any chance opportunity. But when something's aligned with your values and it's the right opportunity, you go for it. Listen, I don't know if I've said this clearly, but on the viewing page where you guys are, underneath the box, there's pictures of the Dynamic Dinner Talk. That's a clickable link that will take you to the page where you have all the information that kind of lays it out, details it, payment options, all that stuff is there, so you can learn more about it. The ability to purchase this right now ends tonight at midnight. So if you're going to do it, here's what I love about this. I could have done this yesterday, but I'm not a guy. I don't want to let you procrastinate. So you're kind of here right now. You're gonna make a decision. I always like Brad Glowacki. Something that he does as a habit when he goes out and does presentations. He won't bring business cards. He said, either you're in or you're out, but I'm not leaving you a card. And I think that's just a great, orientation. And we're kind of the same thing here. There's no business cards. you're listening to this, you can read more about it. If you're an analytical and you just need more, you can click there and you can learn more about it. But my aim here is, listen, whether or not you buy it, do you really think it's going to have any financial impact on my life? That's not what it's about. It's really just about you. That's why we are here. It's about you, chiropractic, your community, your future, and we believe that this is something that will help you and help your community and build your better future and get a lot more people healthier. That's what Chris was talking about earlier, coming from abundance. You can't show up at your practice hoping to get your needs met. If that's the case, then the patient should be paying you. If you see patients because they fulfill you or you're getting your needs met, then you should be paying them. So it should be the opposite. You need to show up full with your purpose, with your passion, with your energy and the healing mindset, and that's why they should be paying you, because you're meeting their needs. I'm not showing up here to get my needs met. We're showing up here to meet your needs. And if this is at all resonating with you, then I think you understand why it'd be a good idea to take action on it. And it's really a risk-free action because there's guarantees in place. So you look at the sum total of all this, and I think that you have a real opportunity right now to do something and commit to it. Don't just do it, but commit to it and go into your future with it. And it's going to change your life, and it's going to help you change other people's lives too. So, Chris, I just want to say, number one, thanks for hanging out with me tonight and taking the time to talk to these folks.
Thanks so much. We always have fun together every time. And I'll be on your coming up soon, your philosophy summit, right? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that. The coming up next week. Yeah. So thank you for agreeing to do that.
Oh yeah, I love it.
Awesome.
Yeah. Thanks so much also for organizing all this and orchestrating it. It makes a big difference, and of course sharing your own story, so that I think that adds to people understanding how we're three very different people, three very different circumstances, but we're in the same profession with the same passion, and we also have a passion for helping other chiropractors. So I appreciate you showing up and sharing.
Awesome. Well, thank you for that, and I want you both to know that I consider you both mentors, and I'm honored to be learning from you here today. And in what you said with the no risk, I also wanted to kind of tell people what you get. And not only do you get the DVDs mailed to you, DVD, CD, the CD-ROM with all the paperwork and everything you need, it's put in the mail once you order, but you also get instant access to everything online in the membership site as soon as you purchase, meaning with the 30-day no risk guarantee, you could go through everything within this next day, 2 days, this week, and you could see every video is in there. You'll know whether it's for you or not for you very quickly. So there's literally just no risk, and just let us know if it's not for you. Your money is back, and you can scroll down below this video. You can click on the link, and you can see exactly what's in there. But a lot of people don't realize that we actually filmed high definition quality video that we've actually had doctors that don't think they could get up in front of people and present. They put Dr. Zano's DVD, because we created a DVD that you could actually just play. It's Dr. Zano doing the presentation, taking the people in the room through signing up and scheduling their appointment to your office. We've had doctors who did that, who just played the video at their dinners and have signed up double-digit new patients, and they didn't even have to do the presentation. Of course, it's created to be a training to teach you how to get over those struggles and to be able to speak and to be able to do it. But that's in there as well. If you wanted to start with that and then move into doing it yourself, you could. You'll get the audios, which I highly recommend. What I did to learn this process is I downloaded all the audios, I put them on my phone, and I would just listen to it in my ears, in my earbuds all day long, any second I could get, listen to Dr. Zano doing his presentation over and over. And then there's bonuses. The bonuses in this program are worth, just as much or more than the actual dinner workshop. It's Dr. Zano's internal referral revolution. So it's Dr. Zano's staff showing you how they get patients in his office to refer. And I promise you there's not a chiropractic office in the world that gets more referrals than Dr. Zano. there's all of Dr. Zano's financial care plans. So he's a cash practice, one of the largest, if not the largest, cash practice in the world, and he gives you his financial care plans as well as videos of his staff sitting down showing how they present the financial care plan. I mean, that in itself should be a program worth, thousands and thousands of dollars. Plus, you get his VIP plan, and like he mentioned, and I'll tell you what, if you don't understand Dr. Zano's lifetime VIP member plan, you're missing out, because it makes your practice worth so much more when you have patients who have given you their credit card's on file. They said, don't talk finances with me again. Just charge that credit card every month, and I'm coming in every week for my adjustment. He shows you that process, how you move patients from that corrective care plan into that lifetime financial plan. And all of the videos from his staff, they're amazing. I actually filmed the videos. That his staff is just absolutely top notch, and they show you and walk you through how they present that lifetime plan to the patient at their re-exam, so you can move your patients into that consecutive lifetime care. And then you also we filmed finances with Garrett Gunderson. He sits down with you and he shows you how to, and shows your patients how to have that financial mindset. Food with Josh Axe. You get the CTL seminar replayed, the entire seminar, over 12 hours of video that we had. Dr. Gentempo was a speaker there. We flew thought leaders in from all over the world. You get a CTL private club, which doctors paid over $5,000 to be there for that weekend to train personally with Dr. Zano. And you get our new dinner poster flyer, so you can actually 100% editable, go in there, put your logo, print posters and flyers for your dinners, get more people there. I could continue to go on, but I know we're out of time, and I apologize for speaking so much. But guys, I truly believe in this product. It's probably the best one out there, in my opinion, on the market, so I encourage you to check it out. Thanks again for allowing me to be on here, and thank you all for being on here. We appreciate it, and have a good night.
Thanks, guys.